Hi everyone, this is BDevine, of course. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hopefully you've been tuning into yourself a little bit more and feeling the amazing changes that starts happening when we are really catching ourselves and resetting ourselves and awakening our own eternal flame, right? So, a little bit of a different message today. First, I'm going to go over the free insight that I gave everybody this morning, just before my son called me. So, I could give you some more information here. Oh, yeah, before I start this, I have to announce that the flame infusion, weight, and body reset live with me for 4 sessions. Okay, that is going to start February 28th this year, and it is half price for the first container, for the first session. So it'll be the 28th, then it goes into March 7th, 14th, and 21st. Okay, so they will be around about an hour, probably a little bit more than an hour long live sessions with me, plus you get support PDFs. You know, it's a structured thing to help your weight and body reset itself, and it's extremely different than a weight loss program or something like that, because we're going to get into all different avenues of density. Okay, so it's going to be pretty interesting. You can sign up for that at any time and you'll receive a download which will give you instructions for a Telegram group and how to connect the first time and what it's all about, etc. So also on the 31st of January, I have my Temple of the Black Mirror and Vault 111 webinar. I hope to see you there, because we really get to explore some of these deeper mysteries, and every single time we have some kind of massive experience as well, which we love. Yeah, and so everything else is remaining the same at my website for now, but you can book a call with me also, and you will be able to choose your time and your date when you check out. So just wanted to kind of update before I get stuck into this today. All right. 3 things also, 3 things, if you have your pen and paper with you. I kind of can't help but to just teach through these things. Now, a good practice for you, and this helps you to start to really, open more of your abilities, and to begin to start connecting more with the energy around you and the timelines and things. So 3 things that you could ask yourself, and this is something for you to, you just write it down, write your own answers down, okay? Is what do you think, so you're in your place, you've got your firewall up, what do you think the frequency is right now? What is, and that's for the around you, okay, around your sphere. You could do it where it's a collective version as well. What do you think the astral layer is, connected either collectively or for yourself? And the third question is, what is your house energy? Now, when you start to put questions down, and you're sort of giving yourself then a little bit of insight, a way in which you can literally trick yourself into becoming more intuitive. So when I'm doing transmissions, I actually have about 2 or 3 sheets that I first have to do a whole lot of writing first for the person that I'm working with. And this is based on their questions, what the energy of the soul is, what they're really trying to tell me. And I have my sheets. Okay, so all of my own methods for transmissions and timeline seeing and all of the prophetic stuff, okay, this will all start coming into play. But one thing you can do is this. You will be surprised how much information that you get about this. So, for example, on Christmas, it was Christmas Eve, I did this. So I said, have I got it here? And this was for my friends, okay? So I wrote down a whole lot of things about the frequency now, the astral layer, the house energy, and then I expanded like bullet points from there. And I started to get a lot of information, and there was this great sadness, there was something triggered, there was something annoyed, there was something upsetting, there's this great sadness, right? And so 2 days after Christmas, she said that her dad died, and she just found out about it, right? So it doesn't matter where somebody is, right? If you got their permission, okay, you can start tuning into these things. So you can also tune into like where the cords and knots might be, where they might be going around in circles or whatever, and you start getting better and better and better at this. So that's just a little thing for you. What's the frequency now? What do you feel the astral layer is doing? And what do you feel the energy of the house is? So for us, the energy of our house is, it's very peaceful and it's very calm, although we are very sleepy, like today, right? Especially my husband, who was up most of the night. And cold, like just feeling extra cold, right? So then you can start working on balancing that as well. Anyway, I'll just read the quick message, and this is for everyone today. The almost timeline is expiring. If you've been circling a decision, a boundary, a launch, or a truth conversation, the field won't let you almost do this anymore. You'll feel friction until you choose. Emotional noise isn't intuition. A lot of people are mistaking stress signals for downloads. I see this all of the time when someone mentions the word downloads on TikTok, for example, or even Facebook. It's just almost scary that they're getting a download. You don't want to know. You want to just keep right on going. Intuition is usually quiet and specific. Quiet. It's sitting with yourself, right? Stress is loud, circular. All right, you're bouncing off walls. So if it repeats without action, it's not a message, it's a loop. If it repeats without action, it's not a message, it's a loop. Your nervous system is always the portal. This week is won by regulation, not overthinking. So inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Return to center, return to truth. It's always good to do 3 rounds, but I want to get through all this stuff today. The mirror is showing you who respects your energy. Watch for people who forget or reschedule constantly, or dumping emotions with no change, or they give really sweet words to you, but there's just nothing, there's no follow through. It's not your job to fix this. It's your cue to tighten the access. So, yeah. Sometimes I deal with people who have a time zone thing. You know, I'm dealing with people in Canada or overseas in Australia, New Zealand, wherever, right? And so they seem to just go, oh my God, what time is it? And all you have to do is go to timeanddate.com and you put your time and the time you're asking for, or the other way around. So we're on Central Time, and usually Chicago is always there in any world clock, so you can sort of see what time it is for me at any time, right? And we can work it out. But sometimes people just like, they know what time they're going to talk with you, but they've always got to switch it around and change it right before. So I just say no, anymore. We just keep the time, or we do what we're doing. It's not my job to fix this. It's not my job to continually try to help in this situation. And it's the same for you. If someone at work just constantly expects you to finish all the fiddly finer details, it must be because you actually volunteered that at one point. And so I guess they just think that you're going to keep going with that, right? You do something once and you're lumbered with it. Or you say yes to working late, and then you seem to be the only one that's asked, Only you can put a stop to those things. Who's respecting your time? Who's respecting your energy? Right? Keep it simple. Pick one thing and offer it and repeat it cleanly. One offer, one boundary, one habit, one promise, one next step. One thing that you're doing, one thing, one standard, one thing. That's all. Just pick one thing. Today I'm going to, as soon as I get myself worked up, I am going to just take a minute. I'm just going to recenter myself with the breathing, firewall on, mirror flame on, center. Is this worth it? Probably not, right? Is this worth it? Why am I bringing myself back to center? Strong boundary. I've got my firewall on. Even if you have to talk to yourself like that, there'll just come a point where your natural reactions just kick in for you. Okay, so that was the main little thing today. And then, okay, I also want to talk a little bit about the older spiritual tools, things that we have always known. We haven't always known all of these things, by the way, of course. You would have learnt something growing up, or you investigated on your own, like I did. Or some of you were raised in a different way, a metaphysical way, perhaps. And some of you were raised really religiously, right? So we want to look a little bit with discernment, and of course with myself with great care, at the old spiritual tools and the new things that we're doing, okay? So here it is here. Old tools helped many of us survive. For me, my God, when I was given a deck of tarot cards when I was 15 in Queens in New York, I was on my way back to Australia soon after that. I had been living in the United States with my dad for 3 years until I was 16. But I was 15 at the time when I got these cards. And I knew intuitively that that's what I wanted, okay? But I also needed to keep them away from my dad's vision. Because if he saw that, and some of the images on I don't know if you have the Mythic Tarot, but some of the images are pretty, I mean, it's Greek mythology, but some of the images are pretty gruesome, right? So I was like keeping it this big, massive secret, right? And having it with me. And I knew that it was freeing me. I knew that as I was reading the book and understanding that I was picking up a lot of things from the messaging that wasn't in the book. Like I knew that this was freeing me, right? But I came into it in a time when I was really looking for something of my own. I was looking for something that made sense to me, because church and the Bible and all of those things, even though I was a bit of a Bible basher there for a while, I still felt like it wasn't completely how I saw it, if that makes sense. Churches and going to church and going to Wednesday night church and Sunday schools and then camps and all the, I felt there was there was just a lot of disingenuous people, and it felt pushed rather than welcomed. Okay. Anyway, a tool is helpful to us in one season of our life when we're beginning something, or we want freedom, or we're learning something else, right? But it can be limiting in another way. A lot of traditional spiritual tools were built for a time when people felt that powerlessness, right? Felt like I need something to help save me. Felt disconnected. Felt I need a message. I need a sign. I need to know that I'm not mental. I need to know what this is that I experience. Why am I seeing stuff before I go to sleep? Why do I just feel everybody's energy? Like, you start exploring about yourself. You want to be able to have your spirit guides talking to you, or your angels guiding you on your journey. You want to be protected, right? You want all of these things because of where you're at the beginning of your journey, right? So the collective is entering into a season where reassurance, here's a, angel message, here's a sign, here's a this, here's a that. It's not enough, right? We want clean clarity. We want real change. We want embodied leadership. We want nervous system safety. We want to be able to quickly fix something that's going on with us. Now, just a little bit of a thing here. All spiritual practices like Reiki and QHHT, hands-on healing, tarot, all of these stuff, they have the ability to literally change you immediately. But what's the catch? If you don't believe it, right, in that old system, if you don't believe what's going on, nothing happens. Because the focus is taken away. Like, so for example, Jesus in himself has told me, okay, whether you believe me or not, it does no relevance to me, but this is what I was told as a healer. It takes the belief. So for example, if people were coming to Jesus and they wanted to be healed and they didn't know what lesson they were learning from that, right? They didn't know. They were just like, oh God, I've got leprosy, heal me. He would be like, well, what have you learned from having this? What have you learned from this affliction? What have you learned inside of yourself? And if they didn't know, they wouldn't heal. Okay? So the same purpose, Sitting Bull, my amazing medicine man, taught me. He said to me, do you think that they would come to me for a shamanic healing, right? To use my sweat lodge to get some herbs from me. And do you think they're going to question whether it's going to work or not? Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of going anywhere or doing anything, right? The same with the old tools. If you go into Reiki thinking that the Reiki practitioner is healing you, it won't work. If you go into it with an idea of what you need to do to heal, what your part of it is, there will be things that start happening. You see? You see the difference? When we do this work, I'm able to bypass the belief system by bringing your nervous system into stability, which brings you into calm and peace, and thereby bringing you into a feeling of relaxation and belief. It's much easier from a calm state than it is when you're all worked up and tense, right? So tools can be limiting because that's where people's minds go. So the collective is entering into this new timeline, this new era. So if we talk in psychology with this as well, the old our spiritual systems often reinforces, not everybody is reinforcing, but on the whole, it often reinforces seeking behavior. I need, give me, da. What's the message? I got to hear it. I got to watch 50 tarot readers today to tell me what I need to do next. Okay. And this is the seeking behavior. Tell me what's coming. Tell me who I am. Tell me what to do. Tell me if I'm safe. So seeking isn't bad, but it becomes your identity outside of yourself. Creates a loop of outsourcing. You outsource your inner authority, and then you need the tool again to feel okay, right? I used to think I'm different here. I'm giving people positive messages. I'm trying to help people to help themselves. That's what I always used to think, right? I'm trying to help people here. And I was, and I am, and I always will, right? But unless someone would take a course or do something deeper, which a lot of people couldn't afford, then they may still go from me to this one, to this one, to this one, to this, and I just get lost in at the bottom of the pile, right? So seeking isn't bad, but if it becomes your identity where you're always seeking, which is the problem, it creates a loop. And psychologically, it's similar to reassurance seeking in anxiety. It soothes you briefly, but then it increases this dependency. Oh, okay, I want to feel okay again. Instead of learning how to give that to yourself. You see? So the question becomes, if your spiritual practice is creating an inner strength or an inner authority, or is it creating a dependency? Now that's why I stopped the short tarot card readings and things, because it was getting ridiculous, and not everybody. But the same things were said. Amen. I claim 777 1 1. What the hell's what is I claim? What are you doing? Because you're just going to do those same comments to the next thing. Or thanks, it resonates, to the next person and the next person and the next. Like, why? You know? So, when I say old tools, I am speaking about tools that primarily function as external confirmation. Again, constant card pulls for every card decision. Like, I used to have people on the phone saying, what do the cards say? And I'm like, I don't need the cards. Oh, but just tell me what they say. They're all excited, right? And I'm like, this is getting, and I'm not saying everybody. But when I would see that desperation, that was really saddening to me, because they'd lost their sovereignty and they really were pulling on an anxiety or something else was going on, in which we'd start talking about that, but still. Some people obsessively check signs, angel numbers, articles, going on the moon thing, and this sign thing, and the sun thing, and the astro thing, and the other apps, and then we're going on tarot apps and Lenormand apps, and see how it starts just to become way outside of the self, right? Some relied on mediums and messages as the main guidance, and some mediums were extremely aggro and mean and not connected, right? I was just future chasing instead of present building, right? Everything's about it's coming, it's going to, it blah blah blah. But what we need right now is it is now, we've got a hold of it, and here we go. And I have to say, I always knew this structure of giving someone something that they need to be doing, a practice that they need to do. The trouble was people wouldn't do it, right? So you would repeat yourself all of the time, trying to explain and explain and explain and explain, and it just became, after such a long time, that you're just talking to a brick wall, right? because people didn't have the structure down or something that they could do easily, everything felt too much work. Up would pop another 15-second tarot card reading and or something like that, and they would totally forget the practice and move on to something else, right? So constantly chasing, constant clearing without any structure, searching for entities, explanations. It's an implant. I've got a block. For every little thing they feel, oh, someone's after me. Every little thing that happens to them. Oh, I put my protection up, but I'm still getting chased down. Every little thing that they do. Every little thing that they feel. Every little thing that they say. And it's ridiculous. Using spirituality to avoid hard conversations or boundaries, right? So again, it's not saying that this is bad, because on the whole, trying to help someone is not bad, okay? But they're just used in a way for the whole, which is why it gets such a bad name, which keeps people unintegrated. They're just on the outside looking in. They're not doing anything to shift themselves. So why now? So spiritually, here's what I'm seeing. Collective is moving from these types of guidances to signal-based guidance. So instead of symbols, we're going into signals. Symbol-based diamond-based guidance means, what does this mean? And signal-based guidance is, what do I do with it today in my body, my relationships, my structure? What's my energy doing? Have I got my mirror? Have I got my protection? Am I grounded? Am I connected? It's all about your structure. And then it stops being about, what does he think of me or she think of me? Because you're not even interested in what anyone thinks about you anyway, because you're not giving your energy or your focus or your direction outside of yourself, right? So the old tools feel weaker to me because they can't carry the weight of the new requirement. It doesn't matter how many times you might be the most awesome tarot reader, oracle reader, guide, mystic, whoever you are. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter, because people only see someone who is spiritual as someone who is cuckoo. Someone who's psychic is weird, right? And then people have this weird feeling that you're reading their mind or something, right? It doesn't even work like that. But that's the labels anyway. So it's like someone will label you something because of your gender, right? Or whatever. Now, whether you've ever done anything that's happened or like, for example, right? 50, right? So I'm 50. Okay, so I'm supposed to be having all of these things that other people my age have, right? With regards to hormones and all of this. So I'm labeled. So if I was to go to the doctor, they're going to squish my boobs in one of those things, right? They're going to check me all out, right? And check me out as a typical 50-year-old like woman, right? And I'm not saying these things don't exist, but I'm just not going to give in to any of the peri or the menopause word, okay? Because crap's happened to your body your whole life. You've had to shift something, you've had to move something, you have an aching joint, you have itchiness sometimes, you have heat flashes sometimes, you can't sleep sometimes. So, you know, the fact that this happens doesn't mean anything to me. Yet, I would be labeled, even though I'm extremely healthy, I'm going to be labeled and tested just as someone my age would. That's why at age, you know, certain ages, you will get some kind of prompt from your medical provider or whatever, or your doctor or whatever. Oh, come in, get a colonoscopy. You're at that age, right? It's the same thing. So regardless of whether you're an expert, tarot, psychic, medium, whoever you are unfortunately still labeled as however the rest of the collective sees them from what they see. Not from what you specifically do, but from what they see on the whole, right? So the new era is not about being the best at picking up energy. It's about being the best at staying coherent under pressure. A lot of it, right? So, I guess a little bit about why this would be going on with me kind of thing is I am here to move people from seeking to sovereignty. That is my main thing. And not only is it because the flame era is here, it's because of the labels. It's because of being pushed underwater all of the time. It's because of 35 plus years of working with people, multiple, thousands and thousands of people, right? Over all of these years. And the whole thing is that you would have such amazing success with so many people because they put the work in and they were ready to do it. And then you would have these frustrating times where it would be right in someone's face of what to do next, but they just couldn't bring themselves to do it, right? So I knew that I couldn't keep trying to work one-on-one with somebody and then the next one and the next one and get it correct, right? And get it all done. We need something broader. So it had to be a jump for me in a sense of what I'm actually delivering to you. And a lot of this came because of the work that I'm sharing with you. It came from seeking my inner guidance, trusting my inner self, putting up protection protocols. Been doing this for years, but making it a simple process. Researching, diving through history, going through things, connecting with my higher self, connecting with my future self, which is where I was told that the era of flame sovereignty was already happening, and this was a few years ahead of time, right? So then I had to decode everything that was about and bring you the information. So it's always been about reading patterns for me. I am more of a psychologist than anything, and it comes through with the way that I can actively listen to you and really tell you what's going on, right? I've just been able to do this since I was really young, and I read the timeline, I read the patterns, I read the consequences of the patterns. These are the consequences. Turning a mysticism, a mystical thing into structure, right? Which is what we're doing, which means it can be more inclusive for people. And you know what it's like. If you're trying to talk to people about spirituality, they just roll their eyes, right? But this way you can say, what about mindset? What about, focusing on the self? What about giving you more confidence? It doesn't sound very woo-woo, does it? So you're going to be able to reach a lot more people with the right language. And teaching people how to stop feeding what is draining you. So I don't care about giving a vibe, right? I care about giving you a result. It has to happen. We need this now, right, as we're moving ahead. So what do we replace things? Like what is the new tools really? What's going on here? The new tools are embodied. They're not about proving anything. They're about building, right? So the new tool set looks like nervous system regulation as spiritual power, boundaries as protection, pattern recognition over prediction. Okay, really helping someone to understand their patterns changes their future anyway. Decision integrity. Make one clear decision. One door. One thing. That's it. Repeatable things that reinforce agency. Values-based intuition. So calm, specific. Old spirituality often asks, what's going to happen to me? The new thing says, what am I authorizing? What am I allowing in? Where am I looping? Okay. And I will talk about this a lot because there are people who are suddenly feeling a calling for something different. And there will be all these videos to help them get started, as I did before. Right. So let's do something a little bit practical. So we check in. One hand over the chest. Okay, this is always your ignition point. Okay. Ask yourself, what decision have I been avoiding? Okay, well, I already sorted mine out today because I was avoiding, for some reason, the weight and body reset teaching. I was just going to make it into a course, but I feel like it needs to be live. But I was just wanting to make it into a course, but I feel like it. So the decision I've been avoiding is to get that up. I've done it this morning. Okay. What's one decision you've been avoiding? Okay. Now, notice the feeling in your body. So, intuition is going to feel calm and warm and clear and specific, right? Anxiety is going to feel urgent, loud, and circular, not landing anywhere, right? So then we take a deep breath in and out again. Now ask again, what do I already know? Okay, what do you already know about making that decision? What do you already know? Most people already know, right? But they don't like the consequence of choosing something or doing something, right? So you already know. And that's the shift, right? The shifting into checking in with the self rather than checking what your cards say. If you do this, okay, and I spoke about this today already, but if you do this, all right, your abilities, whatever they are, all the clairs, whatever it is that you call it, will become absolutely powerful, better than ever. If you do this, right, this is the only way really to get it better. And it's not meditations and visualizations and this and that. It's checking in. This is what I've learned. So the old trap is constant divination. So we'll talk about divination psychology. If you're pulling cards repeatedly for reassurance, I'm not just talking about grabbing yourself, gently grabbing yourself a card for the day and going, okay, I can focus on that, right? Putting your card up. But people are there like, you know what I'm talking about. So what that does is it trains your brain to doubt, okay? You start scanning for certainty instead of building strength capacity. So what happens? You lose trust in your own decisions. You become vulnerable to manipulation. You interpret ambiguity as danger. And you start living in potential timelines instead of lived reality. So you use, the replacement that we're doing here is you can use tools for reflection, right? Doorways, but not permission, right? A healthy question is, if you're asking a question, always put your hand on your heart. Okay, so what part of me is seeking reassurance right now? Not what will happen if I do this. It's like you can hear what will happen if I, what if this, what if, Can you tell me? See how that sounds like that? It's urgent. It's anxious. It's worrisome. It's never the right message, right? So instead, you're reassuring yourself. Okay, where do I need reassurance? I don't need to worry about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm making one clean step, making one standard for my life, creating one boundary. That's it. Doing everything very, very singularly, focusing back in on how I'm feeling, right? The other trap is obsession with signs. Signs can be supportive, but if you need them to move, you're not being guided, you're being managed by anxiety. Psychologically, sign chasing can become pattern addiction, meaning compulsion, a way to avoid risk. So with the replacement, we create one internal sign, which is your body. Your body now becomes the sign. You become the pivot. You become the turning point. You become the pendulum. You become everything. If your body softens with truth, that's a sign. If the body tightens with self-betrayal, that's a sign. Okay? Calm, centered is good for you, aligned for you. Tight, worrisome, not aligned for you. Just listen to those things, right? And I'm going to tell you another secret. For those of you who are still, you like doing your cards, I get it, right? Think of this. Put your hand over your heart. Now, if you really need to have this, okay, then this is what you do. Instead of pulling your cards out aimlessly, right, hand over the chest, close your eyes, and ask to be shown a picture of card in your mind. That's it. You got your answer. No more give me confirmation, no more over shuffling again. Just, if you need a card, develop it in your brain, if you need one. It's also a way of a speaking point. So, for example, the High Priestess, right? So I'm speaking to you as the High Priestess who's teaching, okay? Who knows stuff, right? Who is also got a lot of secret knowledge, okay? So I see myself sitting here and I see the High Priestess, not because of looks or anything, but because of how that feeling is, right? I still have a lot to share, tons to share. It never ends. It's probably never going to end, right? But still, you listen to your body. Body tells you yes or no. If you're going to listen to someone who doesn't even live your life, who doesn't know who you are, then that's also up to you as well. Right. Third one is clearing without change. So, people do cord cuttings, salt baths, rituals, ask for help, ask for the angels, ask for their guides. There's a bigger, massive clearing that we do at the academy, and it's 3 times we do it for 3 times in a row, okay, 3 times a week for 3 weeks. And the intention behind that was to create a steady practice so that by the end of the 3 weeks, you are good and properly cleared. Now, didn't stop people from winding back into an issue if they wanted to, right? So, if you keep the same boundaries and links, if you don't respect yourself, right, and you do something just because you have to, it's like mopping the floor and you've got the tap on. You're just never going to get it all up. See? So instead, protection is not something that you ritualize. It's something that's a lifestyle. It's who has access to you. It's what you tolerate. It's what you keep on repeating, what you consume, and what you commit yourself to, right? So the new tool is the main door. A key concept, one main door, one consistent pathway where the energy goes, because your nervous system calms when life is coherent. The psychological benefit of this is that it reduces overwhelm and decision fatigue and constant questioning. Like people who constantly question every little thing that they do, it must be extremely exhausting to do that. That comes from a little bit of a deeper pattern, and it can easily be switched off. But it's overwhelm and it's decision fatigue. So the psychological benefit of having the one main door is that it increases follow through. Things start happening, you follow through with it. It creates your own identity stability. It builds confidence through repetition, right? The spiritual benefit is that your signals strengthen, the work becomes recognizable, your timeline becomes easier to maintain, right? I'm finding that if I just talk and give like a 1 minute, hey, this is what your guardians are saying, and I can use it in a way that is my flame work and language and all of this and what I've learned and what, you know, I feel, people are fine with it. It's fine. They don't miss the cards at all. I'm sure they do, but they can always go back and watch all of that if they wanted to. But the point is that you can quickly reset, right? Then you seal and select. You seal your energy, you call your power back to you from whatever is draining you out, and choose one clear direction, right? So you write that down. Your main door, okay? So what is the one offer, one habit, right? Or one focus kind of thing, right? Your fence is the boundary that you're going to enforce, okay? Your fence, right? Boundary. That's it. One offer, one boundary. And focus on that every day. Pretty good, right? Then what happens now? Because the world is overstimulated, the human nervous system with it's like constant information is there at your fingertips. There's emotional hooks with algorithms. You think about something and there's a freaking ad about it. Social comparison, crisis cycles. Every time everything's peaceful, here comes a big old drama, you know, whatever. Performance identity, when people are dysregulated, they become suggestible, anxious, dependent on the external reassurance all of the time, easily pulled into narratives. So why do you think these big things happen? To deregulate everybody into looking at the narrative and looking at the whole thing and having a comment on it and being all divided about it, to pull you away from your strength. So we get distracted, we become avoidant, we become aggro, we become detached from everything. We're watching the problem that's been put in our face and all of the problems that arise from that to keep us deregulated, so that we won't train ourselves, that we won't reset ourselves, that we'll keep in this fight or flight mode. So we get pulled into these narratives. So the spiritual evolution now is not more sensitivity, it's more self-leadership. That's why the old tools fail, because they don't teach that, okay? They don't teach now the teacher themselves may do their best to teach you leadership, right? And to heal and the right ways of healing. It doesn't matter though, because remember how I told you before, you're bundled all into the same little group. And so you're trying to stand out and say, I'm different, but I'm still doing the things that the whole group does. So whether you speak to me or understand or not is different. So, well, it doesn't really matter because people have still grouped you into this. Once you spoke to me and understood that, oh, this is really deep. This is really great. Oh my God. It's different. But on the whole, you see. So here the benefits are the psychological benefits of the new ways of doing things, the flame era, the new tools, etc., is that we have less anxiety and compulsive checking. In fact, you're not interested in it. Stronger boundaries and self-respect, right? You start to become quite confident in who you are, what you're doing, and where you're going. Better decision making, right? You're not going every time you've got to make a decision. More emotional stability, right? So you're understanding the depths of who you are in a lot better, a lot deeper, but also all of the things that you've been through and how they can have a somatic effect on your body. Instead of it being menopause, it could just be absorbing 50 million people's BS. But it's labeled as menopause. You know what I'm saying? It's just when we're working with the new tools, it psychologically benefits us, which means that our body, mind, soul starts working very, very powerfully. Less projection also and less people pleasing, a higher follow through and more confidence, as I said. It also brings spirit. If you're looking spiritually, it will bring clearer intuition because there's less noise, less distractions, less looping. Stronger energetic protection through integrity, more consistent manifestations because of the repetition, one main door, one offer, one boundary, deeper embodiment and presence, and cleaner relationships because there's standards there. You're not putting up with things that you might have before just for the sale or just to connect or just for the job. You're not doing that anymore, right? So you're not losing the things that you've learned. You're upgrading things. You're moving from seeking to sovereignty, symbols to signal, prediction to power, right? Ritual only to structure and ritual as well. It's ready to deepen within you. If a tool makes you doubt yourself, it's not guidance, it's dependency. If your nervous system is either your compass or your captor, right? How are you going to do it? Real spirituality creates adults, not seekers. So as we move into this thing, we start to naturally, as we take it all on board, start to unravel even deeper things. First starts happening to you is this. I can guarantee once you start just really regulating yourself and doing your little thing and stop worrying about stuff and pulling yourself out of those loops, right? You'll start doing that. And all of a sudden, your tolerance for BS, your tolerance for manipulators, your tolerance for users, your tolerance for liars is going to shock you how it goes completely down. You just can't have it. You just can't have that around you anymore. One of the biggest things that will happen to you is how you protect yourself. And I also mean when someone is trying to manipulate you, the answer that you have will be far different to what it might have been 6 months ago, right? Where you would have gone, look, let me explain. Let me just tell you, oh my God, you got that wrong. Oh, this is what I was trying to do. All of that explaining is finished. If someone starts to try to hoodwink you or upset you or hurt your feelings, it is what it is. And you know what it is. And you're able to stop that behavior immediately, you don't even have to engage. That's the great thing. You don't even have to engage. And where you may feel, oh, I don't think I can do that. I can't, oh my God, you know, I don't want people to hate me. Well, well, you can't make everybody like you either. You can't live like that. Once you start regulating yourself, those decisions just become a natural part of your life, just like breathing is, right? It's like, what do you really want? If you want security and happiness and a healed reality and all of those things, then the simple solution is to stop all the things taking you away from that. And unfortunately, that includes fake people, fake friends, you know, people who send gifts or all the things in the world, you know, to you. Is there strings attached with that? Like, is that going to mean that 10 years down the line, that's going to be dangled? You know, like, is it really a gift if someone only expects something in return? Like, what goes on there? Those sorts of things have to change too. And it naturally happens because you are working in the ignition point. You are working in your feelings. What's the frequency? What's the astral layer? What's the energy of the house today? And then fix it. If you don't like it, if you do like it, go have a party this afternoon or something. Do something wild. Do something different, right? One offer, one focus, and one fence, one boundary. And if you focus in this way, so easy, things have no choice but to change. You strengthen, confidence comes back, body starts working properly. It's not in survival mode all of the time. Things happen when your body's in survival mode, right? When you're constantly picking up the energy of every single person around you. Stop. You've got your firewall. Don't become involved in anything. The narratives are designed to create some kind of chaos that everyone's staring at and having some kind of opinion about. I simply don't care what the narrative is, what the people's opinion are, or what's going on, because I know a lot of it is theatre. And a lot of it is to disrupt us. And it's not about having a head in the sand or anything like that. I just refuse to participate in the games. If you're not on the board, you can't play. Not on the board. And there are ways around absolutely everything that you've been going throughout your life. There are deeper methods, right? There are ways in which you can get to the real root cause, ancestral cause, dimensional cause, all these things. But it really is also going to mean that if you don't know how to focus yourself and bring yourself back to the center, it won't matter how much miraculous healing you have, it won't hold, because your body will lift itself away from that calm back into something it's familiar with if you're not taught how to structure it properly. That's what I'm here for. That's what I hope to share with the world. And I hope that today this is something that is, you know, okay, then I can do that. That's okay, great, I can do this, right? I hope that it's helped you. And that's always been my hope. I do offer 4-week sessions with flame infusion method, which is different than the weight and body reset, but something more for reconstruction, okay? And also transmissions and things like that at my website, or just book a call with me. Then we can, number one, you get to hang out, and number two, I get to then create for you a plan of action, right? So you get all these PDFs and things for yourself afterwards. So looking forward to the next video. I hope you have an amazing day. Stay safe, stay centered, okay? Boundary, one offer, one boundary. You know, get on it. That's all you have to do today. And then everything will start making sense. Okay, I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.